Hey everyone, it's therapist and relationship coach Micah Ross. Figure out. Oh shoot. There you are. Okay. Turn notifications off. I forgot to do that. It's me, therapist and relationship coach Micah Ross, and I want to talk about something that I hear quite a bit, which is that the women in relationships are getting less and less physically affectionate, and most of the men in my practice, which if this is not you, don't panic. It just means you're different. That's all it means. It doesn't mean anything. But a lot of the men in my practice, their top two love languages are physical affection and words of affirmation. So if you've read the Love Languages book, I like it. I think it's a great place to start. I don't think it's the end all be all of. I think it's missing some things. So I'll just say that. But men tend to feel love through physical affection, and so one of their biggest complaints is that their wives or their partners aren't being as physically affectionate. And what I hear women say, the reason why they're not being so physically affectionate is because he's gonna think that I want to have sex, so I just don't touch him. And this is a huge topic. I'm going to talk about a tiny little piece of it today. So why does this happen? Why does this happen? It happens because we're not clearly communicating that we want to have sex. We're communicating about it non-verbally, right? So we're communicating about it. Men, I hear women say, my husband grabs my boobs while I'm doing the dishes, and they're super irritated about it. And I look at him and I'm like, what were you trying to communicate? And he's like, well, you know. And I'm like, say it out loud. So, you know. And I say, so you were trying to get her closer to the bedroom. And I look at her and I say, did him grabbing your boobs while you're doing the dishes get you closer to the bedroom, or did it get you further away? And she usually booms something like, further away. So we're communicating about wanting to have sex non-verbally, which leaves so much space to have miscommunication, which leaves people, women, usually the person with the lower sex drive, which a lot of times is the woman, not all of the time, because generally men have 9 times the testosterone that women do, and testosterone plays a huge part in drive. And so men are often communicating about wanting to have sex non-verbally, with swats on the butt, grabbing the boobs, groping, and sexual innuendos, and eyebrow raises, and so women have backed off. If you have the lower sex drive and you feel any pressure, that pressure is easy to translate as you don't do enough and you don't do it right. It's easy to translate as criticism. And we don't want to feel that criticism, so we stop touching altogether. I used to rub my the back of his head in the car. And there was a period of time where I quit doing that because I didn't want to give off any indication that sex was going to be happening. Because my sex drive, especially when I had tiny kids in the home, when you're caretaking, your sex drive sinks. And so one of the things that I have my couples do is to figure out a way to really clearly communicate about wanting to have sex. I don't want tiptoeing around it. I don't want guessing. It can no longer be an eyebrow raise or a grope. It has to be really clearly communicated about. And one of the things that I have people do, which this is also nonverbal, I feel like sex, saying your needs out loud, being really good at clearly stating your needs is highly correlated with relationship satisfaction. This even means about sex. And usually men's complaint is, well, if she would just tell me what she needs and make a list and be super clear, I would do everything that she needs. The thing about asking for what we need is that we think it's going to mean less when we get it. But the thing that I see men refusing to communicate clearly about is wanting to have sex. And I feel like they don't clearly communicate about it because they've tried to tiptoe around it and they get rejected. And so one of the things that I have my couples do is come up with a really clear way to communicate about it that might not even have to be verbal. This is something that I heard years ago. I can't remember who I heard it from, where I heard it from, what book I read it in, what podcast I heard it on, but I thought it was really interesting, and it really works for a lot of the couples that I work with. So one of the things that I suggest is having the person with the higher sex drive have something on their nightstand, wherever, something on their nightstand like rocks, like decorative pebbles, something, river rock. And on the other side, hello Michelle, on the other side, on the other person's nightstand is a receptacle. And so when this person wants to have sex, they take a rock and they put it in the dish on the other side. And this is communicating, I would like to have sex within the next 24 hours. People have issues with scheduling sex. I get it. That feels dreadful. There's something about it that just does. It feels dreadful. But when something is important and not necessarily urgent and your plates are full, it's not going to happen. And I feel like the person with the lower sex drive, which is a lot of times the woman who is also doesn't have as much testosterone, is in the role of caregiver quite a bit. If you're a mom of young kids, they need some transition time. They need warning. They need a minute to wrap their brain around. I'm going from a lady in the street to a freak in the sheets. I've got to shift. I've got to shift from focusing on others to focusing on myself. And that's quite a big shift to make if you're a woman and you don't have the hormonal supports in place, quite like a man does. So, giving people ways to communicate about it that feel easy, that feel super clear. That doesn't mean that if a rock goes from over here to over here that you like have to if he pisses you off. There's, you have some vetoing capabilities. But when we take out of the equation, we are no longer communicating about sex in any of those other ways. Now it frees up, I can rub my husband's head in the back of the car. And I can put my hands on him and while we're sitting at dinner. And I can, and it doesn't mean what it used to mean. So that's it. That's all I have time to say. I have so much more time. I have so much more to say about this. It would probably take me an hour. But it's the communication. It's not communicating clearly, super uber duper clearly about what you need. I had one couple who were doing the rock thing. This is really funny. And she stopped seeing the rocks. You know how you get used to seeing something and then you just stop seeing it? And so he started texting her like pictures of boulders on the side of the road to communicate really clearly, like, I would, in the next 24 hours, I would like this to happen. I thought that was hysterical. So, anywho, that's it. Stop communicating about sex in not clear ways and put physical affection back in your relationship. Adios, everybody. If you have any questions, let me know. Oh, I forgot to tell you, you guys, on Friday, I am doing this Mod Mamas retreat with Kids Explore. There are still tickets left. Just Google search Mod Mama Retreat. And the first thing that will come up is where you can buy your tickets. So let me know about other topics that you want to hear about. I'll be back on Facebook Live soon. Talk to you later. Bye.